Let's talk about the elephant in the green room, the one everyone's tiptoeing around. It is that time to put some respect on these digits and demand they be accounted for. In the global carbon budget, the dirty little secret of AI is out, of course. It's not so secret anymore. It's been discussed. Quite a lot, actually. And there are warnings from pretty much every major climate scientist. But what they're saying is being completely ignored. We need to talk about this. And we're not talking about AI taking over the world or killing all the humans or whatever other dystopian future you might have. Imagine, more immediately, the problem is AI is really dirty. You can probably guess the reason why. Training these large language models requires an incredible amount of computing power. That in turn requires massive data centers full of servers, which run on fossil fuels. There's also the electricity required to run the algorithms and models themselves. Even though some models are now claiming to be carbon neutral, the carbon waste is just being pushed onto other industries to offset. But recent findings are showing that the water use is just as bad. A new study just found that training a single large language model can require up to 250 liters of water. That's enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And a recent paper published by the researchers estimates that data centers could account for 8% of global freshwater withdrawals. That is more than what is used by manufacturing, and almost as much as what is used by agriculture. This is absolutely staggering. It is easy to feel helpless in the face of such colossal figures, but we should let this slide. There is actually a bill going through Congress right now called the U.S. Environmental Impacts Act. That would require companies to report their greenhouse gas emissions from data center operations. Similar laws have already been passed in Europe, but big tech is exerting a serious amount of pressure on lawmakers to just let them off the hook. Google has even threatened to pull out of the EU entirely if they're forced to comply. We don't have to accept this. It's not too late to hold these companies accountable, and we have a pretty good idea of where to start. The first step is to pass legislation that will force tech giants to disclose their environmental impact. In Europe, they've agreed to follow the EU's Green Deal regulations. In the US, they want to water down the rules. They're lobbying hard to make sure the US lags behind. It's still early days, so if you're in the US, you should reach out to your member of Congress and urge them to support the Environmental Impacts Act. The second thing we need to do is change how these companies are structured. Right now, most big tech companies operate under what's called a public good business model. This means they offer their services for free or at a very low cost to users, and then they sell your data to advertisers. That needs to stop. Big tech platforms should either begin to operate with a more sustainable business model, or they should be broken up into smaller companies that are more nimble and better able to respond to the crisis we're facing. Last, we need to develop more sustainable AI technologies. This includes everything from developing new algorithms that are less computationally expensive to building more energy-efficient data centers. There are also plenty of other innovations that could help reduce the environmental impacts of AI. For example, one company is using waste heat from data centers to grow algae that can then be used to generate biofuel. Another company is using AI to optimize energy use in buildings. These are just two examples of the many innovations that are out there. It is easy to see AI as some kind of magical technology that will save us from the climate crisis. In reality, AI is just another tool that we can use to help us address this challenge. If we're going to use AI to fight climate change, we need to make sure that we're doing it in a way that's sustainable. That means developing new technologies, changing how big tech companies operate and holding them accountable for their environmental impacts. And finally, we need to remember that AI is not going to fix our problems overnight. It's going to take years, if not decades, to develop the technologies we need to really make a difference. In the meantime, we need to continue investing in renewable energy, electrifying transportation, and decarbonizing our economies. We need to do everything we can to get to zero emissions as quickly as possible. I know it feels like we're losing the plot, but there are still opportunities to turn things around. We'll keep fighting for a sustainable future, and we hope you'll join us.